right, in case you missed it, let's catch up on some news and notes here. Our NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport, says Julian Edelman is expected to play in the Patriots game. He has been dealing with the knee and shoulder injuries, so Fabs, do we trust him in a championship game?
No, I scare very easily, and last week he had a stinker, and his previous stinker came against Buffalo, and this is a defense that's giving up an average of 10.1 fantasy points per game to opposing number one wide receivers. So if you have Terry McLaurin, if you have Tyler Boyd, if you grab Rashad Perriman, Edelman, you may want to put him on your bench.
Some other wideout news here in case you missed it. Panthers wideout Curtis Samuel did not practice Friday. He's listed as questionable for Sunday's game at Indy. Now, he has scored a touchdown in 4 of his last 7 games. Graham, do you like him if he's a go?
You know, with Will Greer under center this week, he's getting the start ahead of Kyle Allen. Curtis Samuel just seems like a thin play. As our guy Marcus Grant says, touchdowns can be fickle beast, and Curtis Samuel has been held under 40 yards in 5 of his last 6 games. And if he misses, that's just more targets for DJ Moore.
And in case you missed it, Juju Smith-Schuster should make his return Sunday at the Jets. I feel like I've said that before. He's not on the team's injury report for the first time since he last played back in Week 11. If an owner needs a flex play, how much of a projection do you have for him here, Cynthia?
Okay, this is how I map this out. The Jets defense, except for the Ravens game, has been really stingy to the run. They've been really generous to opposing pass catchers. Juju Smith-Schuster needs to kind of get the rust off here, and this is the spot to do it. This is the type of situation where he could come in and have a monstrous game, but it is super volatile, meaning he has a very low floor too. So this is high risk, high reward situation completely.
ICYMI, Giants quarterback Daniel Jones will start once again for the Giants against the Redskins. He's missed the last 2 games with the ankle. Graham, how does this affect any decisions you have to make with your Giants fantasy stock?
Sure, I'm pretty excited about this game, actually. I think it has sneaky shootout appeal with 2 bad pass defenses. And look, no Evan Ingram hurts, but Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, and Golden Tate are all healthy. And by the way, that Saquon Barkley guy, he's pretty good.
Yeah, no question. In case you missed it, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott was limited again today in practice with that shoulder issue, but he will play, at least he says he will, Sunday at Philadelphia. Fabs, you have him in one of your championship games. Are you worried?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather that he was 100%, but he's not even on the injury report. They took him off. So he's going to play. They could lean on the run a little bit more. The good news is that Dak has scored 20-plus fantasy points in 3 career games against Philadelphia. This is a super flex league for me as well, so I'm going to play him. I did drop him down my rankings just a bit, though.
And in case you missed it, Rams tight end Gerald Everett is expected to return after missing the last 3 games with the knee injury. In his absence, though, Tyler Higbee has been a tight end 1, 3, and 5 in those weeks. So, Cynthia, how do you have Everett projecting along with Higbee in this one?
Well, one thing that you need to know is that San Francisco is allowing the fewest yards per game to opposing tight ends. It's not a great matchup for the position. I think it doesn't affect Higbee too much. I think they use him more as a pass catcher. That's how you earn your fantasy points off of him. But it's good for them in general because Everett's going to be a monster helping block, heavier formations. It's going to be better for them.
And in case you missed it, Kerryon Johnson will return Sunday for the Lions to face the Broncos in Denver. It will be his first action since landing on IR back in Week 7. Head coach Matt Patricia says he will be smart in how they use Kerryon. Fabs, is this a smart flex option?
This is a desperation flex option because I really feel like they're going to bring him in, and he's probably going to split the workload with maybe Bar Scarborough if he could come back, or Wes Hills from last week. But this is desperation city, my friend. If you need a running back or a flex, I guess you can roll with them, but I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
In case you missed it, Vikings running back Dalvin Cook did not practice with his injured shoulder. Meanwhile, Alexander Mattison also a DNP today. So, Graham, can Mike Boone win you a championship?
It's Mike Boone week. He's going to help you win a ring this week. I think he's almost a top 10 running back play if both Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison missed. Guys, Dalvin Cook called Mike Boone his clone during the preseason. That is high, high praise, and Boone is going to get all the touches in this game.
Former Vikings linebacker Ben Liebers on their radio broadcast team now says he is totally comfortable with Boone as the RB1, likes his skill set, and thinks the game plan won't change for Minnesota.
I'm starting him.
Time for our Sunday showdowns. We'll hit all 12 of Sunday's games here. We'll start with the Cowboys and Eagles. Stats, what are you looking at?
I am starting Miles Sanders against my beloved Dallas Cowboys. Why? Well, the Cowboys have struggled to stop running backs. If you look at the numbers, over their last 3 weeks, they've given up 2 top 10 runners. And Sanders, assuming Jordan Howard doesn't play, he's questionable again, he should see a lot of work in this game.
Cynthia, another look at this game?
Well, I'd like to show you a deep sleeper in this one, and that'd be Greg Ward Jr. 9 targets in 2 straight games. I don't love this one for regular formats. This is more of a nod to the daily format. I love building a lineup around him because the ROI is totally there.
Interesting that the Dallas defense has allowed the third most receiving touchdowns since Week 11 to receivers. Graham, what do you think?
Carson Wentz this week is a fantastic play. You know, he's been kind of slow out of the gates, but he's gotten hot real quick here with 3 straight top 12 QB1 fantasy performances. And Dallas, Fabs, I'm sorry to say, but over the last couple of weeks, they've really started to
I know.
have given up a top 12 fantasy performance to the
Trust
position
me.
in 4 of 5 games.
Let's go to Nashville. Saints visiting the Titans. Cynthia?
I love the, I know.
I
But you know
know.
who I know? A.J. Brown. You
Yes.
absolutely need to start him. Don't look at last week and what you saw the Saints and happen with the Colts. That's going to be different. The Saints defense is actually missing a bunch of pieces. Marcus Davenport, Sheldon Rankins, all went on IR. We didn't see it against the Colts. That was kind of a different game. But A.J. Brown should have more success in this one because they are missing those pieces.
He's kind of turning into a super obvious start at this point.
Super obvious
There you go.
start.
All right, Graham, what are you looking at?
A.J. Brown is a super obvious start, and so is Ryan Tannehill at this point. I mean, how could you bench him? He's been way too good. Finished as a top 10 fantasy quarterback in 6 of his last 7 games. And Marshawn Lattimore is going to be on A.J. Brown this week, but Brown and Tannehill, this duo is too good to beat right now.
Good news, Derrick Henry not listed on the injury report after resting his hamstring this week. Fabs, back to you on this game.
I feel like this is a call me crazy, but beware Drew Brees. Why? Since 2016, Brees has averaged 8.1 fantasy points in 3 outdoor road games during the fantasy playoffs. Extend that 3 years earlier, since 2013, he's averaging just 14 fantasy points per game in such contests. I get it, Brees is great. He had a great stat line last week. He is a different quarterback on the road, outdoors. I'm not saying sit him, I'm just saying beware.
All right, next game up here, it's the Cardinals visiting the Seahawks. Graham?
Jacob Hollister is the most obvious streaming play of the week at the tight end position. I mean, the Cardinals are just dead last in every single position that matters in terms of yards, in terms of touchdowns allowed. And Jacob Hollister isn't just some guy the Seahawks are, checking the ball down to. They're actually scheming looks to him, and he's going to have a big day on Sunday.
Yeah, the Cardinals again proving they are a fantasy treasure chest for tight ends. Fabs, what do you got in this one?
Yeah, start DK Metcalf. He's had either 75 or more yards or a touchdown in each of his last 3 games. And the Cardinals have allowed 12 touchdowns and the 6th most fantasy points to perimeter receivers. So this man who is chiseled out of stone, I mean, he's an absolute beast. Wait until you see what he does to Arizona this week.
The Cardinals defense is the most generous in the last 4 years when it comes to receiving touchdowns in fantasy football. This is a great play. Cynthia, what do you got?
Well, look at this sleeper here in Christian Kirk. I'm actually surprised he's not more owned in more leagues. That wasn't good English, but it doesn't matter. But ultimately, the entire Seahawks defense is banged up. They have a lot of people on their injury report, and Christian Kirk is really the favorite target of Kyler Murray. So you want to take advantage of this situation where they're going to be passing the ball. To me, the game script dictates that. You want Christian Kirk.
I'm taking Cynthia's advice. I'm starting Christian Kirk this week. All right, Santa Mooch, everything isn't all rosy this weekend, though, because there are going to be some ugly fantasy matchups. Sometimes you may have one too many eggnogs this weekend, and you won't be able to see them clearly, so that's where we come in. Fabs, here's your sweater.
All right. I'm going to use the Force because Star Wars is out.
Your force is...
I just made Tom Brady appear in a Bill sweater. How about that? If you've been starting Tom Brady, you're not watching fantasy football stats, or you're just a diehard Patriots fan.
Probably.
And especially against the Buffalo Bills, last 5 games, 3 touchdowns, 9.3 fantasy points per game, maybe a little elbow issue, do not want.
Well, Graham, this sweater looks familiar from that matchup. Who is wearing it?
It does. We'll find out right here. It's Josh Allen. Yeah. Look, Josh Allen has been a great fantasy quarterback all season long, but this week I just don't know if you can trust him in your fantasy lineup. The Patriots has the scheme, have the talent to slow Allen down. In 2 career meetings against the Patriots, Allen has had a 39 passer rating and just averaged 5.4 yards pass attempt. I just don't think you can play Allen in a fantasy lineup this weekend.
Okay, Cynthia, who's behind this ugly sweater?
Okay, my sweater. Poof! Kirk Cousins. So
What are you doing, Kirk?
Not Kirk
You
Cousins.
might wear that sweater.
He probably owns it. Maybe just because he would like to represent all teams equally. He's very nice. But he's not going to have a good time against the Packers on Monday. Packers have only allowed, the 6th fewest points per game to opposing quarterbacks. Not a great situation, especially because, look, it's in Minnesota, but last time it was a contentious Green Bay win, so I don't think that they're going to come back and be like, yeah, you guys get it this time, right? So Kirk Cousins, not a great situation, especially without Dalvin Cook.
So I actually like the look of this sweater. What I don't like is the matchup for Allen Robinson. So here's the bad news, is that the Chiefs defense has been really stingy to opposing defenses, especially those who line up on the outside, where they are second best versus perimeter receivers this year. The somewhat good news is that's not where Robinson exclusively spends all his time. He does spend a lot of time in the slot, but I'm just a little wary of the overall Chiefs defensive improvement over the course of the last few weeks, especially how that could relate to Mitchell Trubisky. You know what I mean? You feel me?
I feel you.
Okay.